friends. How are you? Turn on your videos this weekend. So good to see you all. Hello, Christine. Hello, Alexis. Marcus, Squirrel, Holly, Erica, Megan, Downey, and Carrie Ann. Let's fly. All right, let me turn the pause. All right. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? It's so good to see all of you. I am so excited for this. This conversation is not about building a team. It's not about building a business. This conversation that we get to have together today is about freedom. And not just time freedom, not just business freedom, not just freedom financially, but freedom in your energetic capacity, freedom to live your life, to have the things that you want to have. This is really what this workshop and this conversation is all about. So I am going to help you find freedom today with the team that you have that's helping run your company, and also with the systems, the support, the structures, how you communicate with your team, how you lead your team, so that at the end of the day, you get to enjoy spaciousness, freedom, peace, joy, love, all of the things inside of your business. We just had a massive month in business last month, and it was the easiest and lightest it's ever felt. And that was due to some very strategic team shifts that I had made a couple months prior. And it's been so fun and so interesting. I decided to run this workshop last week because I was on a call with a seven-figure founder who had experienced rapid growth in her business. And she was like, Bre, I find that I'm just in my email inbox way more than I need to be and more than I want to be. And I find that call replays aren't getting uploaded when I want them to. So then I'm scrambling and doing them. And one of my questions to her was, okay, yes, definitely hear you here. Have you communicated to team what the expectations are around that? And she was like, no. I was like, do you have a company standard of when calls should be uploaded? Like, for example, in my business, in my company, 24 hours are when call replays are uploaded. And she's like, no. I was like, oh, okay. There's a massive opportunity here. Because here's the thing, you guys, and it looks like we have such a beautiful mix of company builders. We've got service providers in here. And you can probably all agree, right? Is that when we are building a business, we study, we learn, we invest, we grow, we work with mentors and leaders, learning how to build the company. We learn how to create the offers. We learn how to do the messaging. We learn how to do content. But yet, we're never taught how to build a team, how to lead a team, how to leverage team for growth. That is, it's one of the things, like, and I speak for myself too, in building a business. Man, I've invested in all the things, all kinds of mentorship and support. But one of the things that I really see happen is that the team building piece gets overlooked. Yet, I'm sure we can all agree that having a team that runs your business and help not only runs it, because this is a whole nother conversation, is you can hire someone to check things off of a list. But when you can use your team to grow your business, that is true freedom. That's arguably one of the most important things you can do in running a business, is not be a solopreneur, but to truly build a scalable, sustainable company and business. So on that note, I'm really excited for this. What we're going to do today, this is going to be interactive. So I've dropped inside of Canva. I'm going to put the link in again because we've had Sarah joined us since I last dropped it in. So what I would love for you guys to do is open up this document. This will actually be, and it's really fun too, because this workshop together is kind of the pilot of a framework that I'm going to be teaching and supporting 500 entrepreneurs with in person in a couple of weeks. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this workshop and we're going to, dial in the process. I'm going to take you through this experience live. I would love your feedback, thoughts, reflections, all of that. So this Canva link that I dropped in, this will actually be a printed out booklet. I'm going to go through it one last time, make sure all the formatting is perfect. But this will be something that I will be handing out at this event to 500 entrepreneurs and helping them get clarity to prep for them using a team to grow their business. And these are what we're going to be doing together today. Like we're going to go phase by phase through 4 phases. And this is the foundational backbone of building a team. And not only that, but leading the team so that everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows what's happened. You have your sustainable and scalable foundations so team can plug in and make it happen. And you truly get to stay in the visionary leader seat and spot. And I was actually just prior to this workshop for a whole hour, I was on a call helping. I don't know if she's not an 8-figure founder. She's a multi 7-figure founder, soon to be 8 figures. And I was helping her rebuild her team for where her company's headed. And it's the same thing. What I was telling her was, you as the creative visionary and leader and face of your company, your job is not, nor should it be, to run the day-to-day operations of your business. And if that is you and you have this 7, 8-figure vision in business, get the heck out of that as soon as you possibly can. So we're going to be talking about that and workshopping that today. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here and we will dive right in. As I get my thing up on the screen, what I would love for you guys to do is drop in the chat. Where are you currently at? Do you have team? Are you thinking about bringing on team? I would love to get kind of a pulse and temp check from you so that I can make sure that what we talk about and what we dive into today is super relevant and very helpful to you. And this is really cool too, you guys, because I don't have a pitch. I don't have, there's nothing that I want to ask from you of this workshop other than I want to help you build your team and share with you some of my teachings and body of work and all of that I've been using to build my company and also to help other business owners build theirs. Amazing. Okay, so Sarah says no team but a goal. This is amazing. Alexis would love to build a team. Yes, queen, let's go. Christine has an assistant. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So what's really cool here is that Sarah and Alexis, you guys, your vision is to build a team. So what we're going to do on this workshop is you're literally going to build the systems and structure so that it's going to be really easy for you to place in a team and have them be set up for success from day one. And Christine, you have an assistant, so this is amazing. We're going to get her more clarity and structure so that she uses her time and energy to truly help you grow and not just do tasks. Holly has an ops assistant, 10 to 15 hours a week, a VA as needed, and someone to do project-based tech implementation. Amazing. So you're no stranger to Team Holly. I love that. Awesome. Okay, so let me pull up my slides here. 1 second. There we go. And I'd love to hear too, while I'm getting this pulled up, what do you feel, for those of you who have team, what do you feel is a bottleneck or challenge? And if you don't have team yet, have you thought about some of the first things that you would love to have team support with? Put that in the chat. Okay, let me get the chat pulled up. Here we go. Okay. So, yeah, you're no stranger to team. You bet. Yeah, you letting go. Megan, hourly VA, and you're with a friend who hired you as her VA. So you're learning together how to grow. I love that. Bottleneck is letting go and trust. Communicating perfect, Holly. That is the first thing we're going to dive into is communicating on the vision. Yes. Okay. Amazing. Christine, micromanage too much. A couple of things. If you guys like to read too, I'm going to put these in the chat. There's 2 amazing books on team building and scaling that I highly recommend that complement a lot of the body of work that I've developed and how I support founders in building their team. So I'm going to put these in the chat really quick here. And if you're listening to the replay, 10x is easier than 2x by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and then E-Myth Revisited. I can't remember the author. Highly recommend both of those books. So good. And, one of the things too, like Holly mentioned, letting go. When you're scaling a company, there is an element to that, right? And in 10x is easier than 2x. It talks a lot about the 20% and the 80%. And, like part of the process of letting go is knowing that when a team does it, especially in the beginning, it's not going to be as good, and that's okay. 80% is good enough. And also knowing that the more space they have and, support from you to learn your brand voice, to learn your processes, all of that, it's going to get better and better. So know that too, that, start with 80% good enough and it's going to continue to grow. Okay. So let's dive in. Today we are talking about how to grow your business with a virtual assistant. A little bit about me. My name is Bre. I'm the founder and CEO of the VA Leadership Academy and Icon Enlightening. Inside of the VA Leadership Academy, I train the industry's best virtual assistants. We give them skills training, identity training, leadership training, to truly be the category of one virtual assistants. And then in Icon Enlightening, the agency, we take founders who are growing their companies and we pair them with the virtual assistants who've been trained inside of the academy. And I myself have built a 7+ figure business. I started at my kitchen table. I was there for the first year. Then I moved to my kids' playroom, and I'm right now in my 4-year-old daughter's bedroom. And so, I think if nothing else, my story and experience with business building, like just really speaks to like, you don't need to have fancy anything. You don't need to have a lot of time. I have 3 young kids and I've really, because of that, getting scrappy with where I'm at and what I have reduced the complexity of like what needs to be done to have a massive business, and also really released the perfectionism and have built for scale from day one. And because I had to, mom of 3, young kids at home, didn't even have a door I could close for privacy. It's just like, okay, well, how can I do this as smart as I possibly can with what I currently have? And just went for it, made the big swings, invested in team in month 1, invested in ads in month 2, and, always had my eyes on 30K months, even when I was earning $66 a month. And just really building for that is like, okay, if 30K month is the initial goal, what does a business at that level have? The team, the systems, the structures, the support, also the offers, scalable offers. That's really huge too. So I'm going to be diving in with you today, and we are going to help build your team and your systems to support that as well. So like I mentioned, mom of 3 with no door to close for an office, I knew that I did not want to, nor could I be on my computer for 40+ hours a week. I wanted to have spaciousness in the middle of the day. My youngest had just turned 1 when I launched my business. And so I was like, I want to be able to tuck her in for naps, go to the park in the afternoon, and still build this really massive and impactful business that feels like fun, not stress. And what I'll say too is that in growth, right? Because we're constantly evolving and growing both ourselves and our business, that there's going to be seasons where kind of like that story that I shared at the beginning of the call that I was on last week with the 7-figure founder whose business just blew up in the last couple months, is there's going to be seasons where you're like, pivot, readjust, like, everything's growing or the market's shifted. And so, things feel heavier right now, but then you just get to rebuild for where you're headed, where you want to go, and all of that. So I'll caveat, I didn't build my business to be its employee. And there's also been seasons where as we've grown, it's like, oh, I got to restructure the team to support the next level of growth. But the biggest thing is that, and I know that you too are here because you don't want to work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. So put a yes in the chat if you're like, yep, I am on board for that. Yes, Holly, exactly. We're building for freedom, for spaciousness, to fall in love with our lives and our business and what we do. Yes, Alexis, amazing. Okay. So like we talked about too, is, as a business owner, you are so committed and dedicated to the business that you're building. And like you being here today, whether you're live, whether you're watching the replay, it just speaks to how dedicated and committed you are to your business. And I'm guessing, like a lot of us here, everyone here is like, you've invested, you've learned the business skills, you've learned content and messaging and sales and all the irresistible offers, like all the millions of things that you must know to run a successful business. But the biggest gap that I've seen, more and more so is the business owners are never trained on how to build and lead a team, which is one of the most important parts in creating that freedom, spaciousness, and scalability within their business. And so that's why I'm here today. I just had this, like, I don't know if you guys feel this way. I feel like my work in my business is like this divine, like, just purpose that I meant to lead and do. And I just had this download, God, source, universe, whatever you believe in, it just came in as like, Bre, you need to lead this class like as soon as possible. You need to teach business owners how to use team. And I was like, okay, so I shall. Like, let me go schedule the workshop and do it. So that's why we're here today. Because I just had this like urge, this like voice was like, Bre, you need to go teach on this and speak on this and help business owners master how to use team and how to use virtual assistants. So here we are. So the biggest thing, business owners are not taught, and it's no one's fault. I just think, people don't talk about this because maybe it's not quite as shiny or, money making as like learn how to message and sell $1 million from your content. But I'm going to tell you that team is the thing that is going to grow your business and help generate millions inside of it. So we've never been taught how to lead and leverage virtual assistants and team. And the thing is that simply by hiring a virtual assistant, you're like, woohoo, freedom. But there's so much more to it than, if you just check off the list, I have a VA, yay. But do you know how to use the VA? Do you know how to leverage them? Do you know how to truly generate cash flow from having team in your business? So we're going to be talking about that. And really, it's this balance of masculine and feminine, right? For you to create that flow and spaciousness in your business, for you to be in the visionary seat, there's some very masculine things, creating structure, strategy, systems, all of that beforehand that should be in place that will help support the VA so that you just get to play in your business every day. So when you stop delegating tasks, stop seeing your virtual assistant as a checklist, as someone who can just tick, 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 do all of the things, and you start building systems and leading for outcomes, everything changes in your business. That is when you, as the leader of it, you also build a team of leaders instead of doers. And this is true freedom. And, a huge shift that I just went through in my company a couple months ago. So speaking from embodied experience, both in lessons learned, oops, wouldn't do that again. And also, holy moly, this is working, you guys, and I have to tell you all about it. So the moment that you learn how to lead your VA, you unlock the scalability, the freedom, and the flow that we all want. So let's dive in. When you use your VA the right way, you're going to buy your time back because every system that they run frees you to focus on what moves the business forward. And I always laugh about this too. I think that sometimes business owners are just like the misnomer misconception is like, I'm going to hire a VA so that I can go, you know, get massages in the middle of the day or like go eat bonbons in bed or whatever. And yes, absolutely. And also the smartest thing to do when you bring team on is to use the time that you get back for growth focused activities that only you can do in your company. So know that too. It's like, don't just go eat bonbons in bed. Like we're going to use your time to grow the company as well. Okay. So the next thing that happens is you scale faster because your VA turns into a multiplier and not a manager of chaos. And you lead lighter. Things feel like I mentioned, we've had a massive month in the company last month, and it was the easiest and most fun I've literally ever had growing the business. And everything just kind of starts to work and to flow. And yes, it takes work to get there, but we're doing that work together today. So what I'm going to be walking you through is the 4-phase system that I have developed, the Lightning VA Scale system. And this is modeled around the work that we do inside of Icon and Lightning, which is my VA agency. And so it's got 4 phases, but it's got one result: freedom through structure, the masculine and the feminine. We get you into flow and lightness and effortlessness inside of your business. And we do that through setting up some very foundational systems and structures that we then plug team into, and they know exactly where we're going, where you're headed, all of that good stuff. So let's dive right in. And I'm actually going to pull up, okay, I think I just, hold on. I'm going to stop my screen share for a second because I want to pull up the booklet that you guys also have simultaneously. And I'm going to put that on my other screen so I can walk you through that too and see what you see. So let me reshare my screen here. And make sure you guys have that open, because that is going to kind of be the workbook where you're literally going to walk away from this with everything built out or have the foundations for everything built out. So phase one, the Lightning VA skill system, is the power source. And this is where we start with the end in mind. Before your team can run your company, they need to know what they're plugged into. And let me give you an example here in my own company. So we've built this wonderful business. I love it so much. And I've got big, big, big ASS goals and dreams for us. And our mission, my mission, and the team's mission as an extension of my mission is that we are the number one ecosystem in the world for virtual assistants. And what I mean by that is not just training the VAs, but also that we support the business owners and the founders with VAs to help them grow and scale their company. And just number one, point blank, period. And, so what does that mean? What does that look like? Like we're referred to, we're known. Today shows like, hey, Bre, can you come on next week? And I'm like, yeah, of course I can. That kind of vibe. So through that lens, because I have that clarity and that vision, that the team and I make decisions through that lens. And you as the CEO, this is your number one job is to just tell the team, hey, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. This is where we're headed. And another lens through which my company makes decisions is that we are an 8-figure company. We hit 7 figures pretty quickly. And now we're going to 8 figures. And so my right hand, my COO, knows that every decision that we make is filtered through the lens of being the number one ecosystem and being an 8-figure company. So we're not making business decisions from where we're currently at. We're making decisions as an 8-figure company and as the number one ecosystem in the world for virtual assistants. And so I want you to think about that too. And the workbook. So go over to page 3, which is the power source. And I want you to start writing down your vision and values, because this is the guiding light. This is like the lighthouse, the North Star that your team is going to be filtering their decisions, their moves, their energy from. And can you imagine, put a yes in the chat, if you're like, so Holly, for example, I know that Holly helps, I believe, other interior designers start interior design businesses. Is that correct, Holly? Hopefully I remember correctly, but I know you work in interior design. Or no, organizers. It's organizers, right? Let me pull up the chat. Organizers. Yes, I got it. Yes. So for that, it's like, Holly, what through that lens? Yes, help them scale, not start. Okay, I was close, but not quite. But so through that lens, it's like, so you, Holly, really get to define and identify where you guys are going. And your job as the leader and visionary of your company is to make sure that the team knows that and that every decision and move that they make is filtered through that lens. And then values too, of course, is really important. Is it integrity? Is it, my favorite word lately is unhingery, like unhinged. Like we're just savage and full send and kind of wild and crazy and just have fun with everything that we're doing. So, thinking through vision, values, all of that. So you'll see in your document, you can actually write, or, if you have a notepad, you can use those prompts too. And I want you to write down and spend some time with my business exists too. So what is your vision for it? What are your core values? And then where over the next 12 months are you headed? Because it's like you've probably heard this analogy before, right? But if you have Google Maps open on your phone and you're like, I want to go to California, and you're currently in Texas, if you don't have an address for where you're headed, it's going to be really easy You're like, well, let's just drive somewhere towards California. And then you're like, oh, but there's some cool mountains over there. Oh, there's a pie shop. It's like suddenly you're like way off in Colorado and not California. So it's really, really helpful. Number one, know where you're headed, know what the values are that are going to guide you along the way there. And then what I want you to do is create a legacy statement. And this is going to be more or less like the guiding framework for you and the team in the way that you move. Let's eat pie. I know I do love pie. We can stop for pie on the way to California. It'll be California pie. So create your legacy statement. And then one of the things that I recommend doing is to actually have a document. And this is like a company document. Basically, everything that we're doing in this workshop, you're going to create a company document for. If you currently have team, you can pass it off to them and be like, okay, day one of, and insert number one ecosystem, Holly, number one ecosystem for organizers in the world. And this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. And here's our company vision and values. And we'll keep going through all of the phases together. But this is number one, you guys. It doesn't need to take you a long time, but it's so, so important. Every move that we make inside of my company is filtered through the lens of where we're headed and what we're doing. And there's a certain level of pride and ownership in the team too when they feel like they're part of something really big and really special. Okay. So let's move into phase 2. Oh yeah. I forgot, I just went off on a tangent. What do we stand for? Where are we going? And then your team, your VA, they can't make aligned decisions if they don't know where they're headed. So this is so, so important. Doesn't need to take you a long time, but I want you to do this today. Okay, now we'll go into phase 2. And like I said, these are more masculine things. So they're not as exciting and shiny as like, let's go put out this amazing offer and, all of that. But to have your team run your company, run the day-to-day, so, so important. So now phase 2 is the circuit. These are your policies and procedures. Clarity creates speed. So we want you to document expectations. And I'm going to caveat, these are not SOPs and these are not systems. These are the expectations. These are like the guardrails or the bumpers of your company. And through the lens of, let's talk about the 7 figures founder that I met with last week, where she experienced rapid growth and she was like, oh, like call replays aren't getting uploaded. Like the emails in the customer inbox aren't getting responded to as fast as I want them to. My first question to her was, well, do you have expectations around that? And does your team know the expectations around that? She's like, no. I'm like, bingo. So I want you to think about, what are the company expectations and standards that you have? And, this might take you a little bit longer than the vision and values, because think about, client experience, customer service. How soon are people in your inbox going to hear back? How soon are you going to respond to DMs? You can put team in the DMs. How soon will you get call replays uploaded? Those are some big examples off the top of my head, but if you do like bookkeeping and financials, how on what day of the month will books be provided back to clients? What's the turnaround time? If you are a service provider doing content, and you have, and this is even, it's important to have, even if you don't have team, having those standards, the policies, the procedures. Clarity creates speed, because you can imagine in the case of the founder who's frustrated because emails weren't being responded to fast enough or call replays weren't being uploaded, but her VA, her team had no idea that those were standards and expectations. They'd never been formalized. So you can see how it kind of sets the team up to fail if they don't even know, what is the standard and expectation here. And it's kind of like motherhood, and, parenting too, right? Like we know that expectations create safety, that when you know what's expected of you, it's a lot easier to hit it. And so I want you in this workshop, and your homework from this workshop is to develop your company policies and procedures. And so you'll see in your workbook too that there's a couple prompts for you. So I want you to think about, what are 3 standards that every team member should know? And then how quickly should, responses happen, or depending on what you do in business, this obviously will be custom and will vary to you. But a couple, key things: communication standards, response time, replay upload times. And this is huge too, is like, what does excellent look like? What does done look like? And we'll talk about SOPs and systems in the next phase. But I always say in every SOP, part of the end of it should literally tell whoever's reading the SOP what the end product, what the finished result is and looks like. And so you want your VA, your team member, to know is like, what is a win for them? When this happens, this means you're doing an amazing job. Okay. Turnaround time for deliverables, that's something to think about. And then your homework is to develop one company policy that would instantly create ease if everyone followed it. So I want you to do that after this workshop, or, even as you're just listening in and jotting down notes, you can start to write that down. So yeah, have I told my VA what done well, what finished looks like? And then you write your first standard now. Okay, so now phase 3, we are in the conductor. This is systems and SOPs. If it's not documented, it can't scale. And the book E-Myth Revisited that I recommended at the beginning of this is huge on this. It's all about this. That book, it's such a fun and easy book to read too. It talks about this, I think she was a bakery owner, and she was frustrated and just felt completely burnt out on her business because she was baking all of the pies. She was doing customer service. She was cleaning up the bakery before and after, and so burnt out. But she felt like, and this makes me think a little bit of Holly's comment, is like the trust part, is so important. But this is how you're going to allow and establish trust in your company that things will happen the way that you want them to happen too. So the whole E-Myth Revisited book was literally this, the guy who wrote it was helping this bakery owner create the systems and structure. And what's really cool about this too, I think a lot of times, when we're business building, we think that we need really expensive and really fancy team and like these crazy drilled down experts of this thing. And the book was like, actually, you don't. You want to essentially systematize and get out on paper and in a system and a structure your brain and your thought process. So then your team can replicate it. And so he helped her essentially get, it was like her grandma's recipes. And she's like, only I can do it. And he's like, let's just get it out on paper and see what happens. And they were able to systematize the pie making and then, the cleaning of the bakery and the customer service. And she just went from like, only I can do it. This is really special. And suddenly they had systematized the parts of the business. And, the whole point of the book is he's like, you can literally hire the right character, the right aptitude, the right person, and skills can be taught, skills can be learned, and you're not paying an arm and a leg because you have done the legwork to systematize processes in your company. So what I want you to think about is what areas of your business do feel like a bottleneck right now? Is it content? And it could even be, I see this a lot is, with content specifically, a lot of business owners know how important that is, the marketing and visibility piece, marketing and sales. That's like number one. You can't have clients and do the work that you love if you don't know how to market and sell and bring the clients in. But there's an edge and resistance to, posting every day, marketing every day, all of that. And if that is an issue, it's like, how can you plug team in to do that? How can you systematize that? If you do have a process or you want it done in a certain way, bring someone in to do it for you. That is freedom. So I want you to think about one area of your business that does feel like a bottleneck, or maybe you have resistance to it and it's not happening even though you know that it should. And now I want you to go create and systematize that process and work on plugging in existing team by giving them the guardrails, the bumpers, how to do it, how you want it done, and trust them. And we'll talk about in phase 4, that part too, that plays in as well. So looking at your workshop workbook with it. So listing 3 processes that happen weekly in your business, And then what could be documented first? And the other thing too is if you do have team that's on something, like they own part of your company or their role, et cetera, et cetera, I highly recommend having them document their work too. This actually came up in my mastermind yesterday because one of my clients, she's like, my right hand is sick right now. And she does, I didn't even realize how much she does, but right now those things are like kind of on me or they're not happening. And so we were like, yes, this is exactly why it's so important, even for team, to document and systematize their work. The contingency plans, what if your right hand went super, super sick for a couple weeks and you're like, oh my gosh, right? So this is why it's so important. What platforms and tools keep your team organized? And then an automation idea that you maybe have been avoiding, but you're like, okay, this is it. So I want you to get going, document it once. That creates freedom for you. You get to delegate it forever. So I want you to map the repeatable workflows, then empower your VA to optimize them. Your VA, and this we're going to talk about this in phase 4 too. This is about leadership. Phase 4 is leadership and delegation. But one of the things that's also going to create freedom for you within your team and your business is teaching your team not necessarily how to do things, but more importantly, how to think. So them taking ownership over things, multiplying the capacity. They're not, because for me, like, this whole thing, I realized we'd hit the 7 figures, we hit our goals, we're doing great, and we were kind of in this like stasis, in the same spot. And I'm like, no, like I want to grow, like let's go, let's go. And I realized that my team, the way that I had led my team up to that point was I was still the idea person and the driver, like, okay, here's the plan, guys. You take this, you take that, you do this. And I was like, this is literally bottlenecking my growth. I can't be the only one, having the ideas and also driving them forward. And so bringing in someone who is also a leader and can help drive the projects forward and really like own it and lead it so that I can do this with you guys all day, my favorite part, right? So, so huge. And so with that, let's dive into phase 4 because this is the charge. This is delegation and development. Delegation is leadership. And like I said, business owners, they learn and study and are taught all the things in running a company, but they're not taught, like generally, we're not taught how to delegate. And this is true, true freedom. So for you, I want you to think about the things that and this is fun too. This is where you might be surprised by who's on your team and what they're capable of. For example, as when I shifted my team around, my part-time right hand, she went into client experience and owning that process. And then I brought on a full-time operations driver, someone that can help grow and drive the company with me. And it was really fun to resource my client experience queen and be like, what does this look like to you? If you were to own this area of the company and cultivate and develop an exceptional client experience for anyone who touches the business, what does this look like? Can you develop a plan? Share with me how you would take it and run with it. And so this would also be a really fun challenge for you, for people who are in your business who own certain parts. Can you ask them, hey, I want you to own this and share with me your plan, share with me your ideas. Let's go over it together. And then, we'll make an action plan based on that. But when you can develop your team to think like owners and not doers, this is freedom, you guys. It's freedom. And so you're less focused on, micromanaging, and you're more focused on, hey, this is the outcome. This is where we're going. And I want you to take it, drive it, run with it, own it, all of that, everything, everything. Like, can you imagine too, Holly mentioned like trust and all of that, is if you started to develop your team for ownership instead of tasks, I think that would also, free up some of that energetic, like, is it going to be done good enough? Is it going to be done to my standard? Especially because you have now outlined all of your standards and expectations and guardrails and bumpers for the team. So they know what's expected of them. And then within that, it's almost like art. It's like they get to create art. They get to play, they get to lean into their zone of genius and have a lot of fun with it, which is also going to create a lot more ownership for them too of the tasks because they actually mean something and they're connected and tied to the work. So, in the charge phase, phase 4, I want you to think about and write down either in your notebook or if you are able to write in the workbook, what are tasks that you still do that your VA could own? Like eyebrow wiggle. Ooh la la, how exciting. What are those things? And then think about too, because this is something, when you pass over and turn over work, in the beginning, we talked about like the 80% has to be good enough, right? And they're going to continue to get better and better and better. And you kind of releasing, you're like, okay, this is part of the process. Hire for the right people, hire on character and aptitude, knowing that skills can be learned and taught. And especially if you're systematizing, you have the guardrails, the bumpers, the standards, the vision, the values, all of that. You're giving them a lot of stuff to succeed with. And then you get to, work with them, cultivate them, develop them, and have them really own the outcomes and the area within your company that they work in. So keep writing down tasks that you still do that your VA could do. How often do you review results? I'll share a funny example too, and then I do want to open up some time for Q&A. But so I think it was end of August or maybe early September. It's not even that long ago, you guys. My full-time right hand came on, the one who's like truly driving company growth. And one of the things that she recognized, she's like, okay, we have an amazing team, but they're all fractional and they're all, freelancers. And so it's like there's no set schedule. People are popping in here, popping in there, and that's amazing. She's like, you work during the day, I work during the day. There's no one else that's on specifically during those hours. And so she identified having another core driver, marketing, will be amazing. And so we hired a not full-time, but close to full-time marketer. And she's kind of like marketing operations. Like she does all the things with like the visibility and all of that. So now it's the three of us driving together every day. And we've had other amazing team too. But we had to get messy in the beginning for them to learn their process. And so we ran a campaign together soon after this marketing person started. And it was I knew I had to lean back and let them figure it out. Obviously with, they knew what was expected. They knew the desired outcome and result, and they had a lot of examples of how we've ran campaigns in the past. But then I had to sit back and let them do their job, the job that I hired them for. And that first campaign was so messy. Like we actually had a team call today with the three of us and we were laughing about that. But we're already, we call it running our plays. We're already running, more plays onto the next play and the next one. And we're like, man, things are firing now. But it's going to take a couple of times where you're like, oh, but you're like, okay, I hired them, let them do their job. They know what's expected. They have the support, all of that. And so, I just laughed because it was like, I had to like intentionally like lean back and let them do it. And so no to, Holly, for you, it's like, let them run their plays. They know what's expected. They have the structure, the systems, the support. And as we know too, like with children and whatnot, the way that people learn best is by getting in the ring, getting messy, learning from what they've done to make it better the next time. Okay, so when all 4 phases are activated, here is what happens. Oh yeah, and this is part of phase 4 too. So let's go in. When you have all of these pieces together, here is what happens. You turn the clarity, like in this workshop today, we got a lot of clarity for you in your company. That turns into momentum. When everyone knows what excellent looks like, that is when things start firing on all cylinders and you're just like, whoo, the ship is moving for me. Like I don't have to push it forward. Your team stops waiting for direction and they start delivering results. Genius, your genius turns into growth because I think I shared this too, like the call that I was on literally right before this workshop. I was helping a soon-to-be 8-figure founder with her team, essentially rebuild her team for where she's going. And I was telling her, I'm like, Lou, you are the genius. Like your body of work is not on running the back end of the company. Like get out of there. As soon as we can get you out of there, the better. That is like literally stalling your company growth. And you guys probably feel that too. Like Holly, Christine, Alexis, like your zone of genius is to do your work. It's not to lead and direct the back end of the company. And so as, the 7, 8 figures, as you're scaling into that, you're going to have someone who can take over that. So you get to stay in your zone of genius and truly execute, lead, innovate, be the known and go-to person in your industry. So when your VA can own the back end, you step into your vision, your creativity, you get to scale your impact. And the business starts to flow. Operations hum, growth compounds, your life, your business gets lighter. And this is where the true freedom comes in. So I hope you guys are like, oh, baby, here we go. And I also hope that, at the end of this, you feel like you have some really tangible things that you can do immediately, whether you have team now or you're building your team to get everything in place, get them plugged in, get them owning outcomes, owning systems, processes, all of that. And you have given them the effective guardrails and bumpers, the expectations, the vision, where you're headed. So they're like, okay, every decision I make is through the lens of where we're headed as a company and what we're doing together. So your VA truly is not here to help you keep up. They're not here to check things off of a list. We want to use them to help you level up. So a question that I want to leave you with, and then we'll go into Q&A, is what would change if I started leading like a CEO and not a manager? Put it in the chat. If anything comes through, I want to hear it. All right, Q&A. I'm going to stop share. I'm trying to remember what. Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. So yeah, let me know your questions, you guys. What came through? Questions, thoughts, reflections. Holly.
Oh, hey, let me see if I can turn my camera around. 1 second. Maybe I'll just talk. I don't know how to get my camera turned around. Thank you for this. It's refreshing to listen and take it in and take some notes and ideas. I brought my person on 3 months ago, my 10 to 15 hour a week operations assistant, and we went through an extensive hiring process to get her, and I think she's probably the right person. There's been a few things that I'm trying to figure out. Is this just my perfectionism and high expectations, or is this like real, like issue wise? And so I think part of where I struggle, and I was just wanting to get your input on this, and maybe you can discern what the question is like, are you familiar with the Colby C or Colby A index is what it is?
I know I've heard of, it's not personality. Is it a personality test?
Like a working style. It's
Okay,
kind of, it's like working personality. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see it that way.
I think my husband's company uses that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the numbers on there that I'm high in is called implementer, and it's not so much like somebody who implements, but it's like the way that you see the world. So I think the best example I could tell you about it is like, okay, with the organizers, the ones who are high in implementer need to get in and move stuff around, move the furniture around, move the bins around. And the ones who are low in implementer can like visualize things digitally and draw out sketches and get products online without having to touch it. But I am somebody who kind of needs to touch things. And so I'm kind of running into this issue with like, okay, is this a trust issue, or is this Holly just really needs to touch things to figure out what she even wants? And so I'm having this like major internal conflict with like, man, I really want to let go. I really want to trust. I really want to delegate. And then on the other hand, like, I don't even know what I want until I get in there and play with it. And then at that point, sometimes I'm like taking back over, and I don't want to do that. And so it kind of comes to like communicating vision and like needing to touch it to play with it. Like, what would you recommend for somebody like me?
Yeah. Okay, so what's really coming through is, well, a couple of things, but one is your zone of genius. And it sounds like like, because we want to lean in where you do best in business, and the business
Hmm.
success you've had is because of what you're really good at. And
Hmm.
so if I'm reflecting back to you, what I hear is you're really good at creating the vision while in it. And if I'm not mistaken too, like the systems and structure through like I think of like manual manipulation. Not
Yeah,
manipulation
yeah.
like that, but it's like
No, yeah.
physically manipulating something like with your
Right.
hands. Um, so if that's the case, if that's how you work best, then we want to lean into that because that's what grows your company. And we want to find the support squad who can support you in doing more of that. And I'm just going to share this too, and then we can, kind of bounce back and happy to help you kind of make a game plan and get clarity. But
Thank you.
Russell Brunson always says that a business should have two things. It should have the integrator and like operator, and it should have the attractive character.
Hmm.
And the attractive character is the one, blah, 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 like face of everything and the marketing and the stability and all of that. And so p part of me wonders if you love like the manual, like manipulation and like the processes and workflows and systems and structures, and you help organizers. So, like, of course, you're organized. Maybe
Yeah.
that your company and you needs support more so not in the I think the day-to-day operations, yes, we want to get you out of, but the growing and architecting of the company, if that's what you love and you're good at it, by all means, we want to keep you there.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Tell me about what your 10 to 15 hour a week person is doing for you.
Um, are you familiar with high level? Go high level?
Yeah, we use it.
Okay, cool. Are you familiar with white labels and how you can resell a white label of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started that earlier this year in like April,
Mhm.
where I built out, had help building out, not from this person, but from somebody else, accounts for my
Mhm.
organizers. And so my assistant helps. I have two assistants. One is regular and one is project, and they're both tag teaming on building some of those out.
Mhm.
We now offer that as part of the service. It was such like a sticking point for people, the CRM, the tech, and so it literally takes us like 4 or 5 hours, maybe max per account, and
Mhm.
it can be done for them so quickly and get them on their way. So we offer that now, and I definitely do not want to be in those like day-to-day weeds of that.
No way.
So they handle
Mhm.
that. My 10 to 15 hour assistant does, I'm starting to let go of the inbox. I went on vacation a few weeks ago, and so the support inbox, but we don't really have great systems in place for it yet. And that even took a couple months for me to get to.
Mhm.
And then now I'm like back in it, and I've been sick this week, and I've been back in it. And she made a comment in Slack that kind of hurt my feelings. And it
Mhm.
was like, I see you're attached to the inbox.
Mhm.
And I didn't get defensive, but I was like, yes. I said, yeah. When I was gone, I noticed several things when I came back that were read and unresponded to. And I'm
Mhm.
not ready to let go until there's a 100% response rate. And
Mhm.
so, even you talking about like how soon people need to respond to stuff, like
Mhm.
at our 90-day review next week, I really need to be able to hammer down like what that means and what that looks like and where we're going to put those expectations.
Yeah.
I don't really like the way that she responds sometimes. She says sorry a lot. And I just told her, I was like, remove the word sorry from client communication with
Mhm.
just normal business operations. Like just take that out and say something positive about like the outcome that we're going for, not like sorry we missed that or anything like that, because that's not the vibe that I want to
Mhm.
give. Anyway, I'm rambling, but she does a little bit of client support with the inbox, a little bit of like client build outs. She's on the calls with me, like for take capturing my random shout outs of, hey, can we make a note to do that type of thing. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
Um, and I think those are the few main things that come to my mind right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm all giddy over here for you. So, like this whole
Thank you.
conversation today, how I would use this workshop is I would develop your system for the email inbox. And for you, what I would think about Like, and you could even do narrow your vision and values for your customer service in your email inbox. And,
Mm,
what are the expectations? Because perhaps they were missing not responding while you were sick. 'Cause maybe they didn't know, what the standard was. And so now here's what's going to happen too, Holly. Like, this is freedom for you because you're going to say, hey, like, every email is responded to within 24 business hours or whatever that standard is. Like, you can decide
mhm,
that. But here's what's going to happen. If they know the expectations and they're still not hitting them, then you have very objective data to be like, this is not a good fit. Like you can't adhere to the company standards and policies.
mhm,
So I think it's going to be freedom for you. And
mhm,
I think you're also going to have a lot more peace of mind knowing because and here's the thing. Yes, the email inbox is important to you as it should be. That's like the
mhm.
first point of contact for people in your world. So like,
Yeah.
of course it is, of course.
Yeah,
And
I'm unwilling to let that slide. And like as they're building out a lot of the projects this week, and this is the date that 10 websites go live, and she only works 10 or 15 hours a week.
yeah,
And I'm like laying in bed. I kind of want to respond because they're like asking questions in the moment. And sometimes I know the answer way better than she would anyway.
yeah,
And I just like respond back. And that's when she said that. And I'm like, ugh, it's kind of true. And that's kind of why I'm like butthurt about it. But at the same time, like I have a reason for why I'm doing it. And it's just truly that I don't have a wonderful process in place to like fully trust her with it yet. So,
yeah.
how would you recommend setting up? And I want to give other people time for questions too, but like in a nutshell, how would you recommend setting up inbox procedure?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I would do too, because it's not, so if something happens more than once in your company, it should be documented. So, and what I mean by that is it's not a bad thing if you're seeing something in the email inbox that they don't know how to respond to and you respond to it. But what I think you can do is develop a company policy or procedure around that and have like almost have a process or a workflow is like, hey, so and so team name. Like I just responded to this question in the email inbox. Can we templatize that response and put it in our
Mm-hmm.
email inbox policy and procedure? And we did
Mm-hmm.
this. We have this in our team too, where my my client experience queen, she's got a whole document it's like a a
Mm-hmm.
living document. That's what it's called. Where anytime, and we have this for like DM responses and stuff too. Anytime there's a question, the team's like, I don't know how to respond to this. I'll help them respond, and then they'll add that response to the document. So you
Awesome.
can start to standardize some of those off the wall questions that you'll probably get asked again at some point.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
definitely.
it.
Yeah. Like it's like this conversation and just this whole thing like gets me so excited because I'm like, "Oh, this is growth. This is leadership." Like this is going to be so valuable, as you grow your company and like just create that freedom.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you, Bre. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. You bet. Bye, Alexis. So good to see you on. Any other questions, you guys? Any thoughts that came through?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Or I'm not really sure what the question is. I guess the question is sometimes I have a hard time like figuring out what the bottleneck is.
Mhm.
Like so my assistant, she's basically like my leads manager. So her main priority is to get calls on my schedule so that I don't have to worry about getting calls on my schedule for new leads. Um, and like there's a certain goal that we're supposed to meet, every week. And so sometimes she meets that goal, sometimes she doesn't. And I mean, I feel like she's pretty good about owning that and like, keeping up with leads. She does like inbound calls and DMs and emails. And I think sometimes there's just not like really a good reason why we didn't reach the goal. Like it just kind of fluctuates.
Mhm.
Um, and so like I feel like that should continue to be her main focus because that's going to ultimately be what brings in new clients. But then I'm not sure like she has helped me with content before as well, and that would take that off my plate. So I'm
Mhm.
just like I can't always identify like what the bottleneck is. I guess like if I have a week that's really heavy with clients, then it's kind of hard for me to get to the content. So I guess she would
Mhm.
be able to help, but that's not really like a revenue generating activity per se. Um, and then sometimes I feel like the content kind of has to be from me, like my voice.
Mhm.
But I think I've done enough content, like even throughout the years, that she could probably pull old things and tweak it and things like that. So I guess just kind of wondering, like,
Yeah.
what, how do I know like what to take off my plate?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you asked that. Such a great question. So, what I would think about are rhythms in your company, both daily, weekly, even monthly. Like, for example, if you do a conversion event every month, that would be a monthly rhythm. For you, it sounds like one of your daily rhythms in your company is content. And I think, as you scale and grow, likely you will absolutely offload and outsource content. And so, and like you said too, I think it's getting easier and easier for people to be able to replicate, plug someone in, they can replicate the brand voice with ChatGPT and all of that. Um, so I do think that that would be of value to you. What I would think about is, your weekly daily rhythms, and then what are either things that are happening every day that is like kind of the bottleneck feeling, or even things that aren't happening every day that you know or want to be happening daily or weekly in your company. And those are great things. Like one of the things I did, like it was like last year as my part-time right hand was expanding, I wrote a dream list and I'm like, this is everything I would love to get done, and a lot of it was like content repurposing. I do my IG, you put it Facebook, you put it on LinkedIn, you put it in my group. We do like media outreach, all of that. So that'd be kind of fun for you to do like a dream list of everything that you would love to have happen in kind of the company rhythms.
Okay.
Um, and then I would just start with the most immediate constraint. So this would be, and this is oh, is it John Maxwell? I think it was the chicken soup guy. He wrote this book that was like 52 success habits. But there's like the one gold nugget I got out of that was when he was talking about business building. He's like, there's three things that only you can do in your business that you are best at. And for that question for me, I was like, whoa. And for me, I came up with, it was creating experiences, leading experiences, and then it was kind of some of that marketing and visibility, which even now I'm like, I think I want to outsource that more. So I would encourage you to think about that too, is like, what are the three things in your business that like only you can do? Probably, yeah, I know you have a very like beautiful and specific way of supporting your clients. So client work, like your unique methodology, all of that. And the whole point of that blurb in the book was that anything that's not those three should now or eventually be outsourced.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Anything else, you guys? Good. Amazing. Okay, so I will get the replay out. Do you know, I'm like, I'll get the replay out within 24 hours. That's like our company policy, but I'm going to get it out here in a couple hours. But yeah, so I'll get the replay out via email. If you guys have any questions, just reply back. I got you. I'm like, I love this topic more than anything. And thanks for being here today. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Bre.
Yeah, you bet. Good to see you.